today I want to talk about why lessons repeat. Why do we keep doing the same thing over and over and not getting some breakthrough? Why do we keep dating the same person in different bodies? Or why do we always just bump up to the same issues? Why is it that when you are always the one that is betrayed? Why is it that when you are always the one that is overgiving? Why is it that you are always the one that's reaching? Why are you always the one that is intimidated or bullied or whatever the case is? It doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter who it is. It could be in a work scenario, it could be at home, it could be with friend groups, it could be even on social media where, somehow you get trolled or whatever the case is. But there is a theme in your life that this thing keeps returning, this thing keeps coming back. I'm always the victimized one, or I'm always the one who is put in a compromising position, and it's always the same way. Why does that happen? So I remember many, many years ago, you will recall, I think in one of the videos I shared just how much reading I've done over the course of my life. I must have read just over between age 22 and now, in as much as now I'm not reading as much because, of social media, but I do have a book or two on my bedpost, and I do try to read. But I'm not reading as much as I used to. But many, many years in my 20s, there was a book, I don't remember by who. It was called Lessons Will Repeat Until Land. The book was blue and it was written in beautiful yellow letters. Lessons will repeat until land. And I do remember the message and the teachings in it. And this is what I want to talk about today. Why is it that we keep repeating the same lessons? Why am I always getting betrayed? Why am I always getting left? And I want to share a story of a friend that I made a few years ago. Is it a few years ago? I think it was 2017. And I was already an old woman. I mean, I was in my 40s. I was 41 in 2017, believe it or not. And, you know, as it so happens, we met on social media because these days we meet people on social media, of course. And she took a liking to my posts. Those days I used to post a lot. And it was the time that I also started my stretch school. I used to post a lot those days. I was very, very busy on Facebook specifically. When I say social media, just know that I mean Facebook. That's where I became Lebupule. So, she took a liking to my posts, and, one thing led to another. We met on a DM, and another thing led to another. We met in person, and she became a student at some point. And I remember the very first time I sat with her for coffee, when we met in person. And she said to me, I am afraid to even be close to you and to be your friend because almost every friend leaves me. I always get left. I'm that friend that gets left. I remember feeling really compassion towards her and knowing what I knew because I was already teaching and already understanding these things. I reassured her. I don't know why. I mean, I suppose because, I am an empath and you do want to make people feel better and you do want to do your best to make people become the better versions of themselves, right? Especially if they are friends. So I remember reassuring her that no, I will not leave you. We will work on whatever the pattern is, whatever your habits are, whatever it is that makes you lose people or be left, as we say. And, we went ahead and we had coffee and, the friendship so began. And without giving details, I remember in a short space of time, in about 6 months, I had offended her. I had done things that in her eyes were very offensive, without even me realizing that I've done that, to a point where I ultimately left. I ultimately literally said to myself, no, I need to put a boundary. I need to love you from a distance. I need to step away from this friendship a little bit. It is becoming a bit hectic for me because I don't seem to do anything right in your world. I seem to be hurting you, and to avoid hurting you, I'm going to step away. And just as that conversation, because I am that person, we will have a conversation, especially if I consider you a friend, we will have a conversation about things that bothersome to both of us so that we can resolve it. So when we had that conversation, immediately after, it dawned on me that, oh, the pattern is repeating. She's losing yet another friend, and that friend has walked away. I am walking away from her. So I never forget that story, and I share it all the time whenever I am teaching on why lessons repeat. So let's talk about why lessons repeat. You know, if you're sitting here and you're thinking, yeah, man, there is a pattern, there is a thing that around me that always happens. I'm always in this role, regardless of whatever it is. So one, lessons repeat because they are trying to bring you to a deeper awareness of the pattern. So you are seeing, you are aware. I mean, you can see that this always happens. I'm always the betrayed one. I'm always the left one. I'm always the one paying for things. I'm always the one that's doing this thing. So why does it repeat? It is repeating because you are not seeing the actual underlying pattern. And we'll get into the underlying pattern as we continue with the teachings, right? So it will repeat until you see that the pattern is with you, that you need to change something. So let's say, for an example, you are always the one that's betrayed or disappointed or you know, or just left with a huge egg on your face. The deeper pattern that you are being made aware of, and it will continue to be worse and worse until you see it, is that perhaps you do not have strong boundaries yet. Perhaps, for an example, you ignore red flags, even though you see them. You turn a blind eye on a red flag earlier on, because the signs are always there, guys. The signs are always there. Every time you lose a friendship or a relationship, always go back to the beginning. You will see the signs are always there. And my hand is up. I know. I could be a teacher, I could be a coach, and I could know these things, but it doesn't mean that I'm immune to them. So, you know, so sometimes you are being showed that, yeah, there was a red flag that you ignored. Sometimes it's a red wall. It's not even a flag. It's a red wall, and you decided to ignore it, and it seems to be the thing that you do. It could also be, you know, you are being made aware that you maybe give trust too early. Maybe you are a fast friends type of person where, you know, someone smiles at you, you are now besties. You know, the person now is allowed to come into your inner chambers before they have what? They have earned that trust. So maybe that is the awareness that is being, that the deeper awareness of a pattern that you have of trusting way too early. Are you with me, somebody? The last thing is that could be, which is linked to the red flag thing, could be that, you know, you tolerate a lot of nonsense for too long, instead of speaking it out, instead of pointing it out that, yeah, you know, actually you keep doing this and I'm not liking it. Can we address it? So essentially, the betrayal, disappointment, egg in your face lesson will repeat everywhere until you speak up, until you set up boundaries, until you allow people to earn your trust first before you dish it up on the plate. You know, so that is probably what you are being made aware of. So, you know, some people could argue, you could argue and say, but I am naturally an open person. It's part of my character, part of my personality. I can't change that, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. There are people who are naturally very friendly and very open. And, you know, yours truly is one of them. But what you learn over time, what this awareness is trying to get you to do is to discern a little bit more. It's not asking, this lesson is not asking you to change who you are or harden or cut people off, because then you think it's a boundary, which is not. Cutting people off is not a boundary. It's actually a sign that you don't have any boundaries at all. But what you are being asked, if you are an open-hearted person, a friendly person, yes, and a trusting person, because that's a very beautiful characteristic to have. It's very generous, and we need more people like that. However, you are being asked to be more discerning, you know, to learning to observe behavior, you are being asked to learn to observe people's behavior just a little bit longer before you can let them in. You know, people need to earn your inner chambers. People need to earn your heart. You know, you don't just immediately allow normal bani in your inner space. And, you know, some of us, when we were younger, that's what we used to do, where you allow everybody just because they're nice to you. And those are the lessons that we learn over time. So you are being asked to discern. So firstly, what are you being asked? You are being asked to be aware of the deeper pattern. Once you are aware of the deeper pattern, you are now being asked to say, okay, now you know that the pattern is that you have no boundaries, you trust too easy, you ignore red flags, you open up way too fast before people have earned their trust. So what then do you do now? Now you need to slow things down. I mean, I I recommend slow with anything. When in doubt, slow down. Whenever you're in doubt of anything, just slow everything down, because when you're slow, you can see things that you would not necessarily see if you were speeding. It also helps you to notice some inconsistencies, because you're taking it slow. You're taking it slow. Speaking of friendship, there is another friend of mine who also I met around the same time, with the one that I was referring to. And our friendship was a slow burn, very slow. It started similarly. Someone liking me, seeing me on stage, following me on social media, getting involved in the things that I do, attending my events, attending my teachings, being supportive, buying my books, but really just being there and showing up when it's necessary, not clouding me, not clinging, not love bombing me. You must be careful of love bombs, even from friends. It's not just a Mjolo thing only. And slowly, slowly, it built up, and I got to be introduced to the children. She got to be introduced to my kids. She got to know this aspect of my life and that aspect of my life, and slowly, slowly. And today she sits as one of the closest friends that I have. So yeah, you want to slow things down, and you want to recognize inconsistencies as early as possible. And you want to go back to trusting your own voice. We are built with an inner navigator, an inner wisdom. There's always a whisper, there's always that gut instinct, there's always that refined intuition. The problem with the refined intuition is that it's very, very quiet, and it requires some form of stillness, some self-trust, some slowing the heck down to hear it. And then you start to realize that, oh, okay, I need to move slower here. I need to stop here. There's a red flag there. I don't want to get too close to it, because then it's going to blow up on you. And then you need to, after you've discerned, you need to actually take different decisions. You need to behave differently. You are aware, you are aware of what you are being asked, you are discerning. So the next step is now act differently. It's not going to happen automatically. And you will be tested. Life will test you. It will bring you a love bombing type of friendship or type of whatever, and to see if this new knowledge, this new discernment, this new wisdom that you've gained about your pattern, is it truly landing, or is it just in your intellect? You intellectually know, and then suddenly when this same behavior, same type of vibe, friend thing comes along, how do you respond? And there's nothing wrong with you responding the same way, but then you'll find that you'll respond the same way, and then midway you are aware again. So changing a pattern or a lesson will repeat until you get it. So sometimes it will repeat, and then you catch yourself before things go bad, before the betrayal, the disappointment, the problem happens, and you stop yourself. Sometimes you stop yourself in the middle. Sometimes you repeat it again. You know what I'm trying to say. But eventually, when you are committed to your self-development, committed to your healing, committed to a better version of yourself, you will actually overcome this lesson. And like on any game board, you will then go to the next level of who you are, where you meet people of higher vibration, people whose yes is a yes, whose no is a no, people you can trust, maybe not necessarily immediately, but people who will not just betray you like you used to. There's also another element that I won't necessarily get into now of why lessons repeat, and it's the shadow element. I teach extensively on shadow work, and those lessons are sitting on the Stretch Vault on Patreon. If you're interested in that, I do a whole series on shadow work. And the shadow aspect is usually the thing that is happening to you. In what way are you doing it to others? So it's very, very confronting shadow work, which I will bring those lessons here just as a taste, not the full library of it, but I will be teaching on those as well. But for today, I just wanted to give you a nice light lesson on why lessons repeat. And I hope this was helpful. And if you need any help whatsoever, any coaching, I am available on the email that is shown somewhere here on the screen. And for now, this is my story. I cannot wait to hear yours.